So as we all know, S4 is changing the ERP landscape quite a bit. You mentioned before that EWM was a concept before S4. So the technology was not invented alongside S4. It was an idea percolating in the industry before that. So just out of curiosity, so going forward, is is EWM going to be necessary in manufacturing, and I assume inevitably phase out WM, or can the client still choose? And if the client can still choose, what are the right situations for, say, a WM situation as opposed to an EWM situation?
Okay, yeah. So as I mentioned, so EWM module started before the S/4HANA version came to our days, right? So that means that's the evolution from WM module, but now in the S/4HANA version is kind of not mandatory, but it is included now in the S/4HANA version. Then talking about if it is necessary or not, it depends. For example, I have implemented the SAP system either in the old version, which is the ECC version, and the S/4HANA version, and I can tell you depends on the customer. That means if the customer really wants to have a specific control and specific reports to have more detail on their stocks, then it is recommended to implement any warehouse management system. In this case, if they are implementing SAP system, then in the past we suggested to implement the warehouse management module, right? So now one important thing to clarify here is in 2027, SAP, the company, will stop bringing support in the warehouse management module. Then the plants or the customers that currently have the normal warehouse management module won't receive any kind of support from SAP system or the company, right? That means is the normal evolution to implement or to migrate to the new EWM module, right? Because we will have all the functionalities or the capabilities and the advantages that I mentioned, but also you will have your normal support from SAP. So that is one advantage, having EWM versus WM, and because it is the evolution of the WM system. So that is one important thing to mention. And also, based on my experience, and as you know, D4M normally works in the industry, in automotive production plants. I can tell you that currently the normal operations, the normal processes in this kind of industry uh, is very common now in the nowadays. Is very common to have the EWM module because it allows you to have all the control you want, right? The different areas normally is asking to have control on the different phases on your production line or the different phases on your processes. So the EWM allow you to have all this kind of control. If you ask me if there is a way to have the SAP system implemented without the EWM module, my answer is yes. You can do it. Actually, we have customers currently that they have the SAP system implemented in the S4 version, and they don't have EWM system. As I mentioned before, they need to be aware on which specific activities they really want to have on the system, right? Or which kind of control they want to have in the system. I experience sometimes some specific situations where the customer really wants to have a warehouse management system implemented, right? Because different reasons. They want to have control, or even it is a requirement from the final customer for those plants. So in this case, they need to be aware that more control means more steps in your operation. And sometimes, for example, when we start implementing this system, the operations people say something like, Eric, we downloaded or we unloaded a full truck in probably 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If we implement the warehouse management module, that means we need to scan every single box to be put away inside the warehouse. And I say yes. And when you say scan, that means scan 2 times one specific box, right? Because the first scan means to pick the box, and then the second scan is when you are delivering the box in the final destination in your racking positions. That means 2 scans per box or per pallet. In reality, for example, that means probably you can unload your full truck in no less than 25 minutes, right? Or 30 minutes even. So that is duplicating the time, the processing time on your unloading activities. So when a customer knows that, they can decide if the control that they want to have in the system will impact the timing processing in the different activities they have. So different things, we have advantages, disadvantages, but again, the answer is you can have your SAP system, either if you have currently your ECC version or your S/4HANA version without WM or without EWM. The answer is yes, but depends on the different industry sectors or industry activities, right? For example, I can tell you, you cannot have pharma industry without a warehouse management system, right? Because your operations ask you to have this kind of control, detailed control, because you are managing for example, FIFO, you are managing, for example, hazards materials, you are managing different things, and you are managing, for example, batches. So warehouse management system allow you to control all these kind of activities, these kind of concepts, and depends on your operation. For example, we have a specific customer currently that they have different divisions internally where, for example, in a specific division, they request us to have a warehouse management system, and in other division they don't need warehouse management system because they don't manage batches, for example, they don't manage FIFO, they don't manage pallet control or internal activities for the materials, for the different materials. So depends on the industry, depends on the customer, depends on the detailed control that they want to have.